ArtCenter's tradition is always to complain about itself. As alumni, as faculty, as artists, people are always saying, oh, ArtCenter's slipping. Well, ArtCenter's been slipping from day one in people's minds, which is exactly why it isn't slipping. ArtCenter is constantly embattled with its own sense of itself, and it's never satisfied with itself as an organism, and I think that's a strength. I go to other cities and people constantly say, what's in the water at ArtCenter? Because your students are more ready than the Society of Illustrators in New York. They practically forced me to sit down and just explain to them what's going on up here. They really had the sense of something's happening. I think we continually create that sense of excitement, that something's in the air, something's happening.
We're the only school that's doing 3D. I get to put on my resume that I'm a 3D cinematographer, and I'm pretty excited about that because of Alfonso Beato, our cinematography teacher, because he's a working professional that has the heart and passion to do what's modern and what's hip and what's now. It's here for ArtCenter, and they're a professional team of teachers.
We start in this 3D cinematography program. We start with some theory, but the students are so excited to start shooting that we start building our own equipment, and that was very good. I believe we are living the future right here in the ArtCenter on this class.
The Color Material and Trend Exploration Laboratory was founded to enable students to have access to color and material technologies. Students would come in, whether they have a very specific project that they need to find materials for, or whether they just want to come in and get inspired and learn about kind of what's out there. This is an example of electroluminescent material that you'll find common in cell phones. It has a lot of potential application for the inside of vehicles as well.
An unapologetic education of people for the commercial art and design world. You can train somebody to go out and be a professional artist and designer. And in that process, there is a great educational possibility. There is substance, there is fullness, there is a whole way of looking at things in the biggest possible way. And ArtCenter leads the pack in that. It manifests in its great partnerships. I always looked at ArtCenter with great envy in terms of the sponsored projects and partnerships that it had with industry. What a great educational idea to invite industry in to give students a challenge. The Design Matters program is probably the single greatest innovation I have seen in higher education. It takes that partnership model and it says there are other kinds of partnerships possible. We have our students going to Chile, or we have our students going to Kenya, or we have our students going to all corners of the world, thinking about real problems of real human beings in real cultures.
There we go, you're in Mexico.
Not imposing something from the outside, but going in, integrating with that culture, understanding it in a certain kind of way, and then bringing their own creativity to come up with solutions.
Projects like this, you can't just be in school and learn it online. You have to experience it. You have to kind of be in their position and see how they see things.
When I graduated, I knew I wanted to make an impact. I ended up at Tom's, and they just ended up moving and shaking the business world. The literal mission statement is, with every pair you purchase, Tom's will give a pair of new shoes to a child in need, one for one. All of a sudden, I wasn't just a graphic designer, but I was making an impact by teaching and sharing that message.
ArtCenter's influence in the world, I see it everywhere. When I travel to China, Europe, across the country, I can pick out small details. I said, that's ArtCenter, that's ArtCenter, and that's from ArtCenter. Or that wants to be ArtCenter, but it's not quite.
The 21st century finds ArtCenter College of Design one of the leading art and design schools in the world. But how did we get here? ArtCenter's story begins during the Great Depression, millions unemployed, an economy in shambles. An art director by the name of Tink Adams had an idea. Why not train artists and illustrators the same way that engineers and doctors are trained? With that brilliant idea in mind, he founded the ArtCenter School with his wife Marjorie and colleagues Fanny M. Kearns, Elizabeth Franklin, and Stanley Reckless.
I started at ArtCenter in September of 1937. The campus was on the corner of 7th and Coronado in Los Angeles.
The way Dick Adams had started it was more of a mom and pop kind of school. He was a terrific guy, and he knew exactly what the profession needed, preparing young people to run the world. It needed a school to address all that.
The school initially focused on painting, advertising, and photography. In 1932, ArtCenter offered its first industrial design course. The school helped usher in a new era in which artists would design everyday objects.
We wanted them to be leaders in the field, so it wasn't a matter of wrist training, but a matter of truly understanding. It was unusual. It was different back in those days.
In 1941, Pearl Harbor brought the U.S. into World War II.
That changed things altogether. Everything just fell out, the bottom fell out of the art business. ArtCenter got to some of about the only thing they were doing was training production illustrators.
Images of the war flowed home through the lenses of ArtCenter-trained photographers. Alumni were the first to photograph D-Day, and instructor Charlie Potts took this amazing footage of a kamikaze attack at sea. The post-war boom in enrollment forced ArtCenter School to move to a larger campus, a building on 3rd Street in Los Angeles. The men returned home hardened by war, more than ready to get on with their lives. When they came back to ArtCenter, they didn't need a summer break. ArtCenter adopted a year-round schedule. Instructors who had been GIs carried on the attitude of toughness and discipline for many years. In 1969, an ailing Tink Adams handed the running of the school over to his protege, Don Kubley.
He made us an offer we couldn't refuse.
He would visit, he would jokingly say that he was going to get you to be the head of the school.
Yeah.
We believed him. It wasn't until later we found out he told that to
other people.
Other people, too.
Yeah.
Kubley became the second president of the newly renamed ArtCenter College of Design. He raised the school to a new level, moving it to Pasadena and building a brand new campus for it. Kubley selected renowned architect Craig Elwood to design the new campus.
I admired his work. He had terrific taste, but he also was very practical. He was such an easy guy to work with for our house. We thought he would be very easy to work with for what ArtCenter was hoping to do.
Elwood turned in a striking design, a clean modernist building that nestled across a ravine like a trestle bridge. In 1974, crews broke ground in the hills of Pasadena above the Rose Bowl.
It was a great accomplishment to turn what was a really keen little school into a full-fledged college of art.
1985. A few months removed from that famous one-time-only commercial that introduced the Apple Macintosh computer.
ArtCenter's third president, David Brown, led the college's evolution into the digital age.
It was a tremendous opportunity for a place like ArtCenter, which typically attracted very bright people who were inquisitive, a little rebellious. Several graduates at the time who were working at this new company called Apple up in Cupertino. They were talking about not only computers as tools, but computers as media. And this was pretty early thinking, but it was so exciting. The spirit of innovation was not at odds with the fundamental purpose of education.
Also during Brown's tenure, ArtCenter welcomed students to a new European campus in Vevey, Switzerland, which remained open for 10 years. Taking the helm in 1999, ArtCenter's fourth president, Richard Koszalek, oversaw the construction of a second campus in downtown Pasadena, as an old World War II-era wind tunnel transformed into a state-of-the-art suite of design studios and classrooms, housing ArtCenter's graduate and public programs. Koszalek also sought to raise the global awareness of artists and designers. Under his leadership, the college became the first design school to be designated an NGO by the United Nations. In October 2009, on the eve of ArtCenter's 80th anniversary, Lauren Buckman became the college's fifth president, ushering in a new era for the college.
We just needed to stop and ask the question of what we could be at our best and what the real responsibility of an art and design college is in the 21st century. The visioning process is all about giving us the opportunity to collectively say to each other, this is what I'm thinking about. Here's the kind of sense of the future of this place. Can the great design school design its own future?
In 20 years, I would like to see ArtCenter offer a kind of education that's not just job-oriented. I'm going to go out and do whatever it takes to create a kind of world that my grandchildren want to live in.
Who knew the world would be evolving as fast as it is? And it's this interactive thing. It's both evolving before our eyes, and it's also evolving through our diligence and our insight and striving.
There is a tremendous energy here, and it's the creativity that creates that. It's exciting, and I'm addicted to excitement. It's part of my life. It has been a beautiful experience coming close to these beautiful artists and designers. The more I've given, the more I get back. It's become part of me.
Design does matter, and art works. It teaches you to think. It teaches you how to problem solve in a very innovative manner. I think art schools are very important, and ArtCenter is just at the forefront. I learned so much there. I can do everything. I can do graphics. I can do photography.
There's an educational responsibility that we have to prepare them to be entrepreneurs, to be able to engage in the world and to be bold and courageous. I want my professional life to be dedicated to the experience of educating creative people. But I want to understand what ArtCenter is at its core and then bring my own innovation in a way that is in harmony with that. And if I can dedicate my own life to the possibility of creating great art and design education for the students of this institution, that's worth getting up in the morning to do for me.
My dream job is to be a director of photography. Film is dead to me. I spit on film. The nature is wonderful. I love to see the pretty deers walking around, grazing the campus. When I feel blue, they brighten up my day.
In reality, filmmaking, it's all about just pointing a camera at stuff and sort of hoping for the best. Try to plan it too much. It really it takes all the wind out of it.